Bears with a 2-game lead atop the NFC Central. The Vikings at 2-6 need a win to get back into the chase. Hello, everybody. I'm Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris here at Soldier Field, and these 2-6 Vikings, Johnny, a hard luck team, losing 3 games in the final minute so far this season. And last week they lose their quarterback, Tommy Kramer.
That's right. Archie Manning is going to start this week. As you know, he came on in the second half last week and did not do very well. The Vikings had only 6 yards of total offense, but he's had a week under his belt to practice, and he says he's going to do a lot better this week. However, as he told us yesterday, of all the teams I'd like to be starting against in my first shot, it wouldn't be the Chicago Bears. They're #1 in defense.
That's right. Well, the quarterback situation for the Bears has improved. On the other hand, last week, for the first time since the first game of the year, Jim McMahon played at 100%, had a great day against Tampa.
They certainly did. They amassed a lot of yards on offense, 474 yards, and they showed they could do it without a stress on Walter Payton because of the fact that McMahon completed 12 of 18 passes, had 3 touchdowns. And real tip-off on Jim McMahon is that he has not thrown an interception since the first game of the year, 98 straight attempts without throwing an interception. So Jim McMahon is 100% healthy, and the Bear offense is much more diversified. So we're almost ready for the kickoff. Tim?
The Bears will kick it off, and we have just a perfect day for football, provided it doesn't rain. There was a forecast for some rain, but so far looks good. 50 degrees under gray October skies. Perfect football weather in Chicago. Wind, of course, can be a factor here at Soldier Field. So far, it doesn't appear to be. There you see the standings in the Central Division. The Bears 2 up at 5-3, ahead of Tampa Bay and Detroit. Minnesota clearly needs a win today if they have any chance at all, and the Vikings would still need help from other teams. Darren Nelson will return the kickoff from Dave Finzer, and it's taken in the end zone by Alfred Anderson, 2 yards deep. Number 46, the rookie, had some running room over the 25 to the 27-yard line where Baschnagel pulled him down, and Wilbur Marshall tripping him up. And the Vikings will start with Archie Manning at quarterback, Alfred Anderson, the outstanding rookie, Ted Brown, the veteran. And then Mike Jones and Sammy White will be the starters at wide receiver. Steve Jordan, the tight end. Irwin, Tausch, Sams, Rouse, and Riley across the front. And we'll tell you more about some of the changes in position in the offensive line. Sams starting for the injured Jim Huff, who just got back last week after a calf injury, unable to go today because of a sore knee. Manning on first down, out to Ted Brown. And Brown is close to first down yardage. They'll spot it at the 37-yard line. Al Harris forcing him out of bounds. And we'll see where the marker is, and it's going to be short by about a yard. Defensively, the #1 team in the entire National Football League. Hartenstein, McMichael, Hampton, and Richard Dent across the front. Otis Wilson playing with a sore groin. Singletary and Harris are the linebackers. And the secondary, Richardson with a cast on his broken left wrist. Frazier, Bell, and Fensick. 2nd and a yard to go at the 37-yard line of Minnesota. To our right in white. Ted Brown. Brown has the first down. Met just over the line of scrimmage by Richard Dent, number 95. And the Vikings, with Manning throwing on first down, a little swing pass on 2 plays, have themselves a first down at their own 39. Well, you've got the Vikings offense ranked 12th in rushing, 21st in passing, and only 17th overall against the #1 team in the NFL against the rush, and #1 overall, 5th against the pass. So that would appear to be an overmatch in that department. But the Vikings, of course, have other ideas. Manning for Brown, incomplete. Brown tried to one-hand it. Tight coverage on him by Otis Wilson. Had he caught the ball, he would have been dropped right at the line of scrimmage. 35-year-old Archie Manning in his 14th season out of Mississippi. Came over from Houston in a trade and getting his chance because of the injury to Tommy Kramer last week, a shoulder injury in the game against Detroit. There is Kramer wearing the hat and jacket in the middle of your screen. Last week was 7 for 15 before going out with the injury. And it's somewhat an indefinite situation as to his return. It's a sprained shoulder, an old separation injury, and in the same shoulder where he had a separation previously, and they say a couple of weeks. It could be longer. Brown got only a yard, and we are now 3rd and 9 as the 2 running plays, Johnny, for the Vikings from this first down situation. Well, the incomplete pass and the run by Brown have been stopped cold.
At that time, the Bears blitz up the middle with the safety, Todd Bell. And a lot of folks figured that the Bears will blitz a lot because Manning has not played all that much, and the Bears like to blitz sometimes, especially young, inexperienced quarterbacks. Now, Manning's not inexperienced, but he's got to be a little bit rusty.
Sean Gale, the rookie number 23, has come in defensively for the Bears on 3rd and 9. Manning fields a low snap and now is going to run it upfield. And now laterals it off to Ted Brown, and Brown got the first down yardage on the hop. Well, there's a little inventive work by Archie Manning. Manning, a pretty good scrambler, but of course at 35, he doesn't have the quicks anymore. And an alert play by Ted Brown, fielding the low lateral.
Well, he does have the quick mind, but you'd have to say that the Vikings were mighty lucky that that ball took a bounce right up to Ted Brown, almost in stride. As Manning takes off, he sees number 23 over there. He says, hey, you take it. The ball bounced right up to Brown. It was a lateral, and it's a good play for the Vikings, a first down.
Todd Bell drove him out of bounds, and the Vikings are now in Bears territory at the 43-yard line of Chicago. Archie Manning, number 4, the quarterback, one of the nice guys in the NFL. Darren Nelson is in for the first time at running back in a wide pro set. They'll swing it to Nelson. He has the ball. Nelson forced out of bounds at the 37 by Al Harris, number 90. Mike Hartenstein, the defensive end, ranging all the way to the sideline to get in on it as well.
That's 3 straight times on first down that the Vikings have gone to the air, so you can see what their game plan is when they feel that the Bears are in a rather normal type of a defense. They want to throw the ball. They don't want to have to throw it so much when the Bears are in their kind of screwy defense. As you look at Les Steckel, the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, off to a tough start, 2-6, but looking at it realistically, they could be 4-4. There are a couple of games that they could have won with some breaks.
2nd and a long 4. Darren Nelson is forced wide and dropped for a loss. Mike Singletary. Buddy Ryan, his defensive coach, says best linebacker in football. Certainly among the inside people, because those outside guys like Lawrence Taylor and Hugh Green get a lot more of attention because of the number of sacks they get, pressuring the quarterback and so on. But Singletary among the inside guys, not too many people would argue with Buddy Ryan, I don't think, even though his is a biased view.
We have to give some credit for Todd Bell. He came across the line of scrimmage too and knocked down the interference to help Singletary out.
Sean Gale has come in as the nickel back. The loss was back to the original line of scrimmage, so it's 3rd and 10 Vikings. Low snap. Manning had no chance, and he covers it at the 40, and then takes a little extra shot from Hartenstein in case he was thinking about getting up. And that was Ron Sams, who is the center in there for the injured Jim Huff, the 2nd-year man from Pittsburgh, but a rookie at this position.
That's right. He is coming in there. That was one of the worst snaps you'll ever see, and Manning did a good job of just getting on the ball. He didn't want to run with the ball. He just wanted to cover so that the Vikings could punt out of problems.
So Greg Coleman will punt it, standing from his 25-yard line. Jeff Fisher for the Bears, another low snap. And that is Fisher on the run on a short punt, gets to the 40-yard line of the Bears. And that time the low snap came from Grant Fiesel, acquired just recently from the Indianapolis Colts. He did no better than Sams on his first try. We'll be right back.
Jerry, Pam's back.
And she's ready to take on the world again, thanks to Liberty Mutual. After her back was seriously injured on the job, a Liberty Mutual rehabilitation nurse worked with Pam's doctor to coordinate her medical care. That also controlled insurance costs, but Pam is the best result. The Liberty Mutual Rehabilitation Nurse Program. One way we're going to be there for you.
Armstrong, send this barbell to Pittsburgh by Federal Express.
Yes, Mr. Atlas. Hi, girls. Does Federal carry something this heavy, Bull?
Gee, I don't know. Hey, Brutus, check the rate book. I think it's under the safe.
Sure thing, Bull.
A lot of people think Federal Express carries only itty-bitty packages. They carry the big stuff, too, all the way up to 150 pounds. Federal Express. Why fool around with anyone else?
Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris live from sold-out Soldier Field, where the Chicago Bears, with a 2-game lead in the NFC Central, take on the Minnesota Vikings. And a short punt by Coleman after a low snap by Grant Fiesel has given the Bears first down at their own 38. In motion, Dennis McKinnon, number 85. Payton. Payton tripped up by Tommy Hannon. Actually ran over Hannon's outstretched leg and got about 3 yards as he fell. The Bears offensively, Suey with Payton in the backfield. Willie Galt and Dennis McKinnon are the wide receivers. Across the front, Emery Moorhead, the starter at tight end. Covert, Fada for the injured Mark Bortz at left guard. Hilgenberg, Becker, and Van Horn. Bortz, bothered by an ankle, could play.
And look at
Green
this.
Bay in front of Detroit, 7-0. Jesse Clark's 1-yard run. Early score for the Pack. There was McMahon. Last week had a fine afternoon against Tampa Bay as the Bears routed the Bucks. Payton wants to throw. He's going deep for Galt, who's all alone. And Galt can't catch up to the ball. Walter Payton aired it out. Galt was coming from the far sideline and just simply could not catch up with Walter's pass. Now, Johnny, what's your speculation here?
Well, Walter just misfired. He saw Galt so open, and as you can see, the Bears have coming up with all kinds of trick plays the last couple of games. It looked like it went off the side of his hand as he threw the ball, and Galt, as fast as he is, still could not get to it, but he had plenty of room and way ahead of Rufus Bess, and he was so open. It was unbelievable. It would have been an easy touchdown, but Payton, who's done so well on option passes, you can't expect him to do it all the time because you don't throw that many during practice. At least the running backs don't.
Payton now 2 of 4 in the passing department on the season. Third down out of the shotgun, a flag on the play. McMahon with lots of time now runs it out of there. Has the first down, gets comfortably out of bounds at the 47-yard line of Minnesota. However, a flag was down back at the line of scrimmage.
It looked like the Vikings may have been offside, so the Bears would probably refuse that penalty, as Jim McMahon shows once again why he's averaging 7.6 yards per rush. And he does exceptionally well on the scramble against a 3-4 type of a defense because you only have 3 men rushing with maybe 1 blitzing linebacker.
Offsides, number 79 defense, penalty is declined, first down.
And that's one of McMahon's strength. If you don't have a lot of people filling the gaps, putting the rush on Jim McMahon, he'll slither through because he has such good peripheral vision, and he'll run on you.
Tom Dooley, our referee today, number 6, signaling the offside call against Doug Martin, number 79 of the Vikings. Martin bothered with an ankle injury, expected to play primarily in the 4-down lineman situations for Minnesota today. First down, Bears in Viking territory. High formation, Suey the lead back. Payton. Payton picks up about 5 and gets to the 42-yard line before Dennis Johnson, the linebacker in the middle, made the stop. And defensively in their 3-4 alignment, Neil Elshire, Charlie Johnson, and Mark Mullaney. The linebackers, Matt Blair back in action last week. Dennis Johnson, Scott Studwell, and Fred McNeil. The secondary has John Swain, Rufus Bess for the injured Willie Teal, Hannon and Lee are the safeties. And of course, much talk this week out of Minnesota, the cutting of Randy Holloway, the #1 pick in 1978, placed on waivers after the game last week against Detroit, picked up immediately by the St. Louis Cardinals. Second and a long 5. Matt Suey gets 3 and is stopped by Fred McNeil, the veteran, number 54. It'll bring up third and about 2 for the Bears inside the 40 of the Vikings. Now the Bears offensively are #1 in the rushing department, thanks primarily to Walter Payton. The Vikings defensively against the rush are 23rd. Indeed, as you can see, they're well down among the 28 teams in the NFL in all 3 categories. However, last week against Detroit, they played very well, even though they lost that ball game again in the final minute.
Payton needed only 53 yards to break 1,000 for this year, which would tie, wasn't it tie a record of 8 1,000-yard seasons?
Franco Harris's record of 8,000-yard years. Moorhead and Dunsmore, double tight ends. Payton trying to get the first down yardage, and he was stopped. Now, depending on the placement of the ball, the Bears could get the first down, but it certainly appeared from here that the Vikings, with a fine display in the middle, put the stop on them. Charlie Johnson, 65, Mark Mullaney, 77, and Elshire, all 3 down linemen, stacking it up.
And Neil Elshire was in there to help out. It's going to be short by a yard, and it appears the Bears are going to go for it. They are on the 38-yard line.
4th down and just about a yard. Mike Ditka makes the decision. We're going for it.
And looking through all these trick plays, I don't think we'll see a trick play on this situation, but Mike Ditka has really put some imagination into this Bear offense.
Suey and Payton in the split back formation, and it's McMahon diving for what would appear to be the first down. Matt Blair, 59, tried to grab him from behind. Studwell, pinching in from the right inside linebacker, made the contact. And we'll see where they place it, but it would appear that McMahon got the first down on the sneak.
The Bears are going more and more to the quarterback sneak on the 4th and a foot, 4th and a yard situation, and it's been working for them the last 3 or 4 games.
Well, they've spotted the ball right at the 36-yard line, just the Bears' side of it, about a football length, and it will require a measurement, but it looks like they got the first down. And as they measure, we see Pittsburgh has jumped in front of Atlanta 7-0. Wayne Woodruff recovering a fumble and taking it 65 yards for the Steelers score. First down, Chicago, keeping this drive going. We are scoreless with exactly 8 minutes to play first quarter. Mike Ditka did not look happy on that pass from Payton to Galt, which is why I was speculating or asking you two as to whether or not they had the right pass route on with Galt coming from the far side.
Well, they had the right pass route. It just wasn't complete, but those things provide benefit
that
for a
makes
team later on.
Unhappy, doesn't it?
Yes.
An incompletion is enough. First and 10 Bears. Play action. McMahon to Dunsmore, the tight end, and he has a first down close to the 20-yard line.
Boy, what a block by Dennis McKinnon. He came back on Scott Studwell, number 55, and really crunched him, and that's a mismatch in size as Dunsmore caught the pass off the. Notice the play action to Payton freezes everybody for just a second. Here comes Dunsmore out. Now you'll watch 85 is McKinnon. Here comes Studwell, and McKinnon really crunches him as Dunsmore catches his second pass of the football season. The Bears are down to almost the 20-yard line.
Rufus Best, number 21, on the right corner, made the diving block to knock him out of bounds. The ball is just outside the 20. Again, the wide pro set, and now Suey shifts up to the wing right. McKinnon wide right, Galt left. Lots of time for McMahon. Starts to take off and dives for about 4 yards. Now, there was good coverage downfield, but it might have been a little premature for McMahon to run there because he had all kinds of time.
Well, he saw his man covered over the middle, and the one great thing about Jim McMahon is that he thinks very well. He does not have the strongest arm. There are quarterbacks who would have tried to fire that pass in there to Emory Moorhead, but there were people all around him. So sometimes there's an advantage of not having a strong arm. He realizes his limitations in throwing, and that time he took off and ran. So
got himself 4 yards.
Right.
There's the young man from BYU in his 3rd year, number 1 choice in 1982. First game since the first game of the year that he's really felt 100% in that hand. Suey takes a solid shot after a gain of maybe 3 yards. It was Charlie Johnson, number 65, the veteran from Colorado, who really got a lick on Suey. 3rd and 2 will be left.
A good block by Kurt Becker. Watch the guard come around and block Fred McNeil, number 54. Down goes McNeil, and then Suey gets outside, and Studwell is forced out, and then the pursuit from the inside.
Charlie Johnson, 32-year-old veteran. 3rd and 2 for the Bears, and they are threatening at the 12-yard line out of the I formation. Payton has the first down. Got a block from his fullback Suey. Had a nice hole opened up by Feda and Hilgenberg, and dives for the first down at the 8-yard line.
I'll bet his vision has got to be 40-40. Didn't look like there was a hole at all. Payton went low and dipped under and somehow got through for 4 or 5 yards, and that's one of his great assets. As you know, Walter Payton has done very well against the Minnesota Vikings over his career. He's rushed for over 1,700 yards against the Vikings, and remember, when was it, 77? He set a league record, 275 yards against these Vikings.
Payton needs 41 yards to reach the 1,000-yard mark. 1st and goal, Chicago. Payton dances his way, and the Vikings stack him up after a gain of 2 or 3.
Good play by Dennis Johnson that time. He came in, got across the line of scrimmage, jammed things up, made Payton adjust a little bit, and the rest of the Vikings mopped up on the tackle.
Studwell, 55, got the arms wrapped around him, and Rufus Best came in to help. It'll be a gain of 3, and the ball spotted just outside the 5-yard line.
You know, one thing about the Vikings, they may be 2-6, but if you watch the game films, they play hard. They have, you know, they're playing tough, hard football. They're losing, but the effort has still been there.
Well, and defensively last week against the Lions, so they had a fine afternoon. Rolling right is McMahon. Picks his way over the 5 and gets to about the 3-yard line. Galt had opened up in the middle, but after McMahon had committed himself to run. So it will be 3rd and goal.
Here it is on the ground level action, and one reason why the Bears lead the league in rushing is that McMahon is so good at it. He has a feel, cuts in, then cuts out just like a running back. Follows his blocking and then realizes he was in trouble there and went down. But the Bears averaged 209 yards rushing. The Vikings now in trouble. They have to come up with the big play here.
Elshire and Mullaney in on that tackle, and Mullaney is having himself quite a season for the Vikings. 3 tight ends are in for the Bears. Saldi, Moorhead, and Dunsmore. 3rd and goal from the 2. Suey behind Payton. Touchdown.
Okay, that time it was Payton in motion, and Suey is going to be the ball player. And you'll see Jimbo Covert 74, and you can see Becker, the pulling lineman, get through, and Suey with his power just bowled his way into the end zone. The Bears have drawn first blood. 6-0 as Matt Suey scores the touchdown. The man from Penn State, the second all-time leading rusher out of Penn State, and that is saying something.
Bob Thomas will attempt the point after. Bashnagel will hold.
Uh-oh.
Hit the goalpost. Hit the upright. Thomas hit the upright. And so the Bears, for the 2nd week in a row, see normally reliable Bob Thomas miss a point after. Last week against Tampa Bay, however, it was a 30-yarder he missed because of a penalty.
The hold and the spot looked fine. It just seemed to hook right off his foot and hit the upright. So it's a 6-0 lead. And Bob Thomas is wondering what went wrong.
2:58 remaining in the first quarter. The Bears have drawn first blood, 6-0. We are back live at Soldier Field. Finzer's kickoff taken by Darren Nelson a yard deep. To the 25-yard line, tripped up by Wilbur Marshall, has become a terror on special teams. The #1 draft choice, backup linebacker. There's Finzer. 14 plays, 61 yards, 8:33 used up on the clock. That is the key. It has been all season long for the first place Bears. Later today, most of you will see the San Francisco 49ers and the LA Rams. A very key battle. The Rams have really got to win. First of their 2 games against the Niners in the battle for first place in the NFC West. That game will not be seen in the Chicago area since we're on live in the Chicago area now. Manning on first down to Nelson. And a gain of maybe 4 yards for Darren Nelson. Al Harris made the catch. Nelson's been complaining a little bit, Johnny, that he hasn't been getting as much running action. He says, I'm a running back. I don't mind catching the ball, but he's carried only 39 times for 178 yards. And he wants to carry the ball more often. You can see, however, he's a pretty handy receiver.
He's one of their long bomb threats, and they really should, I feel, use him more than they do, as Manning continues to throw on first down.
2nd down and 7. Joe Sensor has come into the game at tight end, number 81. Coming off a knee injury. Alfred Anderson behind the left guard Tausch. Picks up 4 yards to the 32-yard line. Gary Fensick, the safety, number 45, made the tackle on him.
Well, this Alfred Anderson is a pretty good football player. He's done very well out of Baylor. And so, of course, is Mike Singletary. So there'll be some collisions there between some ex-teammates.
3rd down and 3 to go
look
for
at
the
this.
Vikings from their 32. 2 wide receivers shift to the right. They give it to Anderson. Got a lot of blockers, but the Bears shut that down. He stopped short of the first down. Singletary was there and Todd Bell was there. superb defensive reaction as they really loaded up the right side blocking for the Vikings.
And they tried to load it up at the last second so the Bears couldn't adjust to it. We may see more of that because the best way to try and confuse the Chicago Bears defense is a lot of motion and last-minute adjustments. And the Vikings, that's the first time they've really done that so far in this game.
Coleman standing at his 20-yard line. There is Jeff Fisher at the Bear 25 awaiting the punt. Another low snap. Coleman digs it out well but did not kick it well. Takes a Viking bounce, however, and rolls out of bounds at the 29-yard line. Again, Grant Fiesel was the punt snapper, and Coleman has had to turn into a shortstop here in his first 2 punting attempts. The sun is shining on the Bears and the Vikings suddenly out of the gray October sky. Bears have first down. McMahon, the quarterback, at their own 29-yard line. Duck Martin is in at left defensive end for Elshire defensively for the Vikings. On first down, a swing pass to Payton. Payton gets a block from McKinnon upfield and is forced out of bounds at the 38-yard line by Rufus Best, number 21. Gain of 8.
Well, this is a play where McMahon looks down the field. He sends Payton out in the flat in the swing, and he's watching the deep drop of the Viking linebackers and then just dumps it out to Payton. You're going to see a good block by McKinnon again on Tommy Hannon right there. 85 on 45, and finally Best knocks Payton out of bounds, but it was a nice gain for the Chicago Bears, almost 9 yards.
Mike Ditka, the Bears coach, indicated that there would be more of that kind of offense today, getting the ball to Payton via the pass, not asking him to carry more than 20 times a game. Doesn't always work out that way, but so far they're sticking to that plan. Nice fake by McMahon. He's going deep to Galt. There's double coverage, and it's overthrown. Hannon and Swain had the coverage on Willie Galt. And McMahon overthrew it, which from the Chicago point of view turned out just as well because the Vikings had it well covered.
The Vikings did not bite on the play action by Jim McMahon, and he sent Willie Galt and Swain and Hannon both waited for Willie Galt, and the Bear fans are booing, but there was no cause for booing because they were making a legitimate bona fide effort to go for the ball. Nice fake by McMahon. Now here's the end of the play coming up as Galt was covered, and you'll see everybody is diving for the ball. And if there's incidental contact when you go for the ball, you do not call a penalty.
By the way, for those people who wonder about McMahon's ability to throw the ball long, that ball was 57 yards in the air from the line of scrimmage. So approximately 64, 65 yards in the air. Now, mind you, he didn't put it in the hands of Willie Galt, but the coverage was there for the Vikings. A 4-man front for Minnesota now on 3rd and a yard for Chicago. In fact, it turns into about an 8-man front, and Hannon is there to put the wraps on Matt Suey. Underneath, Scott Studwell led the charge. 55 Studwell, 45 Hannon, and we'll see whether they stop them short of the first down yardage. Hannon is the leading tackler for the Vikings with, well, that's correct. That Studwell has 68 tackles. Hannon with 48.
And look at this. Green Bay has jumped to a 14-0 lead over Detroit. Lynn Dickey to Paul Kaufman for one of the touchdowns. Jesse Clark ran for the other. And the Lions could be in real trouble if they lose that football game. Philadelphia, look at this, 7-0 over St. Louis. The Eagles have been coming on the last few games.
Yes, they have. They've won 3 in a row, I believe. And the Cardinals, of course, have also been doing well. That's a big game in the NFC East. First down from the 40. Matt Suey did not get much. Spirited defensive play by the down lineman of the Vikings against Studwell there and Charlie Johnson. So the quarter has 1 second and ticks off to 0 as Chicago leads 6-0.
There's a boat still out on Lake Michigan. It's a little cold. I wouldn't take a swim, would you?
Well, 50 degrees on land here as we begin the second period, 2nd and 9. And the reverse to Moorhead, and he is buried. The Vikings did not buy that act at all. There'll be a loss of maybe 3 yards on the play. Mullaney and McNeil made the tackle for Minnesota. Let's go to Brent Musburger in New York for an update.
Tim, you mentioned the fact that the Green Bay Packers, they are ahead of Detroit. And here's their second touchdown, and it came on a pass from Dickey to Kaufman. It came out of that offensive set, and here it is right now. And Kaufman caught it, went in from 20 yards. It's 14-0, and of course, this helps the Bears. Let's go back to Tim.
Well, those Packers have struggled, but they've got offensive talent. You saw a little of it there. The injured player is Mark Mullaney of the Vikings. That would be a tough loss for them. He is having a fine season. We'll be right back at Soldier Field. There is Mark Mullaney happily on his feet and back at the sideline. He just had a whole lot of people land on top of him.
He was tackling Moorhead, puts his head down there, and then a whole bunch of beef, about 1,000 pounds or more, comes down on his neck and head, but he's okay. Boy, I'll tell you, Mullaney has had his problems this year. He got hit in the eye, and he's got some protective visor over his eye. He had a hamstring at training camp running the 40-yard dash, but he's still managed to play very well.
Rookie John Haynes upgraded from the injured list when they dropped Randy Holloway, getting his first action now, number 90, on 3rd and 11. Shotgun for the Bears, and the pass for Moorhead complete. And a first down inside Minnesota territory at the 48-yard line. McMahon threading the needle there. Tommy Hennon had the coverage. Jeff Coulter, one of the extra defensive backs, number 43, joined him there.
Out of the shotgun, you see not much penetration as Moorhead goes down and across the field there, and he's got the step lead. The pass was to the outside, and just enough for a first down as Jim McMahon continues to throw well. And, you know, when you go 8 games with only that 1 interception in the first game, you got to give McMahon some credit. There's Emory Moorhead, who regained his starting job last week.
Bears are now 5 of 6, turning it over on 3rd down. Greg Smith is in for Mullaney now as Payton on first down gets about 5, forced out at the 44-yard line of the Vikings. McNeil and Rufus Bess pointing him the way out, and we see Houston in front of Cincinnati 7-0. The winless Oilers were beaten by Cincinnati, and I think when they were that it was the Bengals' first win earlier in the year. Jets in front of New England 3-0 in the first quarter. And there's that one now. Looks like Detroit got a field goal, so they've reduced the margin. 14-3 the Pack leads.
I predicted it was Eddie Murray who got the field goal.
Okay, very good, Johnny. Second and a long 5 for the Bears from the 44-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings. One setback, quick pass to Galt. Galt shakes a tackler and then fell down. Willie Galt nearly embarrassed John Swain and then fell down at the 30-yard line. Studwell made sure he didn't get up.
He very nearly broke it that time. Just a quick hitch down about 6 yards. You try and drive him off, take the ball. He's inside, spins outside, and Swain missed the tackle. Had not Studwell come over to help out there, Galt, well, he was stumbling. I don't know if he would have regained his balance, but Studwell makes sure he didn't. Willie Galt, obviously a deep threat, and you got to give him that yardage in front of you.
19 catches for Willie Galt coming into the game. First down, Bears, Matt Suey. Suey, nice piece of running, gets to the 22-yard line. Tripped up by Greg Smith, number 91, the first-year man from Kansas. Smith getting time for Mullaney, who has not yet returned to the Vikings defense. Well, next Saturday, we'll be in Kingston, New York. Sugar Ray Leonard and Gil Clancy and I to bring you a doubleheader of World Championship action. Billy Costello defends his 140-pound crown against the ex-champ Leroy Haley. And exciting Jaime Garza from California against Juan Mesa of Mexico. And also on the program, special ice skating performances. You will be seeing the wonderful Tiffany Chin in a special live performance. All begins at 2:30 Central on CBS Sports Saturday. Torval and Dean also featured in their last amateur performance. Meanwhile, McMahon is sacked by Fred McNeil. McMahon looked like he might have started to roll out into a run, and McNeil didn't care whether it was run or pass. He put the wraps on him.
I think what happens is he spotted the all-out blitz by the Vikings and did not hand it off to Payton. I think Payton was even surprised he didn't get it, and McMahon tried to make something out of it, but Fred McNeil said no dice and makes the tackle. But he saw that all-out blitz. They were bringing everybody up the middle, and so McMahon tried to scramble a play out of it.
Third down, about 1.5 yards to go for a first down. Bright sunshine now as the Bears threaten again. Payton diving straight ahead has the first down for Chicago behind Fada and Covert. Charlie Johnson made initial contact. Scott Studwell and Greg Smith stopped him, but not before another Chicago first down. Who now, Walter Payton now needs 36 yards to reach the 1,000-yard mark for 1984. First down at the 18 of Minnesota.
I think Franco Harris holds that record right now. Walter Payton, who is every game breaks one record or another, including the big one he broke was Jimmy Brown's.
First down, wide open is McKinnon, touchdown.
You talk about having your options of receivers. Emory Moorhead and Dennis McKinnon were both wide open. If you look up to the right-hand side of your screen is McMahon just off the straight pass, and you'll see McKinnon catch the ball, and Moorhead was over to the right, and he was wide open. Easy pickings for Dennis McKinnon. Nobody covered him as Swain was over late.
Thomas will attempt the point after as we see Dennis McKinnon on the sideline. And for McKinnon, that is his third touchdown of the year. Thomas hits this one. That gets a little extra applause from the partisan Bears crowd at Soldier Field. 10:28 remains in the first half. Chicago 13, the Vikings nothing. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris, we are back at Soldier Field where sunshine is bathing the carpet and the Bears are bathing in some glory of taking a 13-0 lead over the Vikings. A ground ball kickoff by Finzer is fielded near the 26-yard line, and it was fielded by Alan Rice, the reserve running back, a rookie out of Baylor, who has been switched to the defensive team this week, although Les Steckel says he could wind up back on offense, a teammate of Alfred Anderson's. Remember, coming next, most of you are going to be seeing a key game in the NFC West. The San Francisco 49ers and the Rams. The Rams are in second place behind the Niners. It's the first of two meetings this year. And you can see that Atlanta and New Orleans are back of those two leaders, and the battle would appear to be among the Niners and the Rams. So that's a big one with young Jeff Kemp doing awfully well the last couple of weeks for the Rams. He'll be meeting Joe Montana today, later on CBS. First down, Vikings. Archie Manning intended at the right side for Sammy White, number 85. Richardson, 27, went for the interception, and Todd Bell, number 25, was there to help out on the coverage. Meanwhile, we had a flag down at the line of scrimmage.
Roughing the passer, blow to the head, 76 Chicago, first down.
He called Steve McMichael for that penalty. We'll take a look at that interior blocking. Dan Hampton is on the right over the center on this kind of a defense, and tries to come right up there and create some havoc there. And there was pressure on Archie Manning, almost an interception, but a slap to the head is illegal to hit that quarterback like that.
So the ball advances to the Bears' 46-yard line via the penalty route. The roughing the passer call against McMichael. And the Vikings in Bears territory now. Manning with the I formation. Play action. Manning is caught by Richard Dent. And then Otis Wilson. And finally the whistle is blown as Manning coughed up the ball. Richard Dent not only got the sack on Manning, but nearly stole the football. And credit to Manning for keeping a firm grip on things.
And Richard Dent, who had 3 sacks last week against Tampa Bay, is really coming on, and he got around the horn there outside of the tackle. And you were right about the fact that he tried to strip that ball. That was the first thing he was thinking of. Now you'll see him way at the back of your screen. He comes around as he gets around Tausch and then just tries to strip that ball from Archie Manning, and Manning hung on for dear life there, almost lost it, and then the whistle blew.
A loss of 9 yards back to the 45-yard line of Minnesota. White, Jones, and Leo Lewis, the wide receivers. Manning's got a man open to Sammy White for a first down. Perfect first down pass play. Sammy White landed 1 yard past the marker at the Bears' 35, so Manning got it right back with a perfect strike.
And that time Archie Manning held his ground because Dent, 95 at the right of your screen, was coming on strong again, and Manning hit one perfectly fencing for the tackle. Sammy White the man who's caught so many key passes for Minnesota over the years.
21-yard gain for White, who had 15 catches coming into the game. The 30-year-old veteran out of Grambling. First down inside the 35 of Chicago. Jones in motion back toward the ball. Anderson's got running room. Alfred Anderson runs over a tackler and has another first down for Minnesota. Went right through Todd Bell. Leslie Frazier finally forced him out. This 225-pound halfback, I think, is going to be just a superstar in the NFL.
I'll give some credit to Curtis Rouse. He's number 68. He pulls the big 310-pounder out there and throws the block on Hartenstein, 73, to allow him to get around the horn. And finally, watch Anderson just keeps driving, and finally a whole bunch of Bears had to knock him out of bounds. This is a nice drive for the Vikings, and that pass completion was a real confidence builder, I think, for Archie Manning.
No question about that. First down at the 23 of Chicago. Vikings trail 13-0. 8:44 to go first half. Manning under pressure is dropped. Dan Hampton gets the sack. And they're back at the 32-yard line.
Dan Hampton with his 5th sack of the year. As you can see him just to the left of the center, Ron Sams, number 99. See how quickly he gets off the ball? He's double teamed, gets out of it, gets away from Irwin, and then when Manning was forced to go out of the pocket, Dan Hampton was in on the tackle. That's why a player has to continue his rush, because you never know when somebody else is going to force the quarterback to run a certain way, and that time Hampton ran himself into a sack.
Second Bear sack, a 9-yard loss on that one. 2nd and 19. White, Jones, and Lewis, wide receivers for the Vikes. And they hand off the Statue of Liberty, but the Bears bury it. Otis Wilson dropping Darren Nelson back to the 45-yard line.
Otis Wilson blitzing from his left side as he went for the fake, actually, but came across the line of scrimmage, and nobody knocked him off stride. And Otis Wilson out of Louisville, playing with a sore groin. Didn't look like it was sore on that play, did it?
No. When we talked to him on Friday, he said, I'm going to start Wilbur Marshall and Ron Rivera, the two rookies waiting in the wings. But Wilson is a man who has used up all of the time that he's been with the Bears to really assimilate this offense. He's in his 5th year. He acknowledges it took him a while to really get the feel of it. Now he says he does things without having to think about the complexities of that defensive scheme. Manning intercepted. Richardson. It was intended for Leo Lewis, and Mike Richardson picked it off at the Bear 25. Chicago has stopped the Vikings, and they have the ball at their own 30-yard line. Steve Jordan made the tackle on him.
Well, Manning was under some pressure, and he threw it into a whole bunch of Chicago Bears. There were a lot of dark jerseys around the situation. There's a great tackle coming up by Steve Jordan right here as he gets Richardson before he can return the ball. Had he not made that tackle, Richardson was headed down the sidelines. But the Bears have the ball. Minnesota's in some trouble.
Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris with 7:11 remaining first half. Mike Richardson's first interception of the season has given the Bears first down at their own 30-yard line. Vikings had a good drive going, a couple of sacks and an intercept, took it away. Calvin Thomas in motion, that drew somebody offside for the Vikings. And whistles blow and flags fly.
Contact.
Contact made by number 58 on the defensive team, and that is Walker Lee Ashley. Reserve linebacker getting some time, and Dennis Johnson's spot, I believe. The second-year man from Penn State.
Okay, there's Walker Lee, number 58. He had a good game last week. I think he was way offside. He wants to have a big game this week.
Medical report on Mark Mullaney is that he suffered a twisted neck in that pileup. You could clearly see, and hopefully it is nothing more than that. He looks all right, but they are saying he may not return. 1st and 5. Walter Payton bangs his way, and he was stopped cold at the 39-yard line, wound up with at least 2 more yards and a first down. Let's go to Brent Musburger in New York for another NFL report.
Tim and Johnny, perhaps the Philadelphia Eagles are better than we gave them credit for. Watch the secondary. The St. Louis Cardinals get burned on this bomb. Here it comes. Mike Quick, it's 90 yards. And now the Eagles have regained their lead. They are up 14-7 on the Cardinals. Back to Tim and Johnny.
Teams The Cardinals and the Eagles each having won their last 3 games, meeting head-on, and so far the Eagles getting the edge. First down, Chicago. Payton again, battering his make it Calvin Thomas, number 33, the fullback from Illinois, picks up 3 yards to the 45-yard line of the Bears. Buried under several white-shirted Vikings and led by Doug Martin, number 79. College football next week on CBS Sports. You'll see the Iowa Hawkeyes currently atop the Big Ten against the Wisconsin Badgers, who upset Ohio State yesterday. And that is at 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock Central Time, right here on CBS Sports. So the battle for the right to go to the Rose Bowl continues.
McMahon is 5 of 6 so far in the passing department.
Walter Payton trying to get wide right. Vikings stringing out a diving tackle by Ashley on Walter Payton. And Payton, I'm sure, looked around to get that number. Ashley caught him from behind, the second-year man from Penn State. A nice tackle.
He put a little extra little hit on Walter Payton over on the sidelines, lifted his leg up like he wanted to, say, make a wish and split him apart, but it was nothing serious, you might say. He was just letting Walter know that he's there. So we have a 3rd down situation and about 6 as the Vikings make their adjustments.
John Haynes comes in, number 90, the rookie from Texas. He was the 4th choice of the Vikings. Came to them with a knee injury. Les Steckel thought he would have been drafted higher had he not been hurt in his senior year at Texas. And they kept him and dropped Randy Holloway. There's Payton trying to get to the short side, and another find of Viking defensive play. Rufus Bess was there, and the hit was made by Fred McNeil, number 54. Bess wouldn't let him make the turn, and McNeil cleaned it up. But a flag downfield.
It's a clipping against the Chicago Bears, and they probably would, I would imagine, refuse the penalty because it would be a 4th down situation.
Well, do you know they've made 6 of 7 on
Crackback
3rd.
block, number 85, offense, penalty is declined. It's 4th down.
And Tom Dooley says that McKinnon made an illegal crackback block downfield, and so that time Minnesota, both with the penalty and with the fine defensive play, stopped the Bears for the 3rd down conversion, and that means Chicago's 6 of 8 in that department, and Dave Finzer will punt from his own 31. Darren Nelson back at the 15 of Minnesota. Vikings trail 13-0. Finzer hits from his own 38. Short punt, lands at the 25 and gets a Bear roll. And a covey of Bears surrounds it down there at the 13-yard line. Witches come in coveys, don't they? It's Halloween, that's why. 40-yard punt by Dave Finzer. And my witch experts remind me it's a coven of witches. Manning on first down. Incomplete, intended for Jones. Mike Jones at the 40-yard line. The pass a little off mark as Manning stepped up against the rush. And we want to remind you that next Sunday our action begins with the NFL Today as usual on CBS Sports, and then many of you will see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Vikings at the Metrodome, 11:30 Central Time. And the game following, the Los Angeles Rams and the St. Louis Cardinals will be the game that you'll see here in the Chicago area. So lots of exciting and important NFL action next week. 2nd and 10. Manning gets some time. Intended for Jones, and it is incomplete, but there is a flag down and apparent interference. Richardson got a hand on the football as they had double coverage on Mike Jones, number 89, but it looks like the officials are ruling interference.
It's a good call because Richardson made contact with his body. He was trying to reach over, and he made contact before the ball got there.
Number 27 defense, first down.
So Richardson, who has an interception in the game, now has himself an interference call.
There was double coverage, but you'll see him make contact here before the ball gets there, and that was the reason for the call. A good call by the officials.
Mike Jones, the second-year man from Tennessee State, has become the leading receiver on the Vikings this year. Manning fires it out quickly to the tight end, Joe Sensor. And Sensor is very close to the first down yardage. Number 81 out of Westchester State. It's been a year and a half since he's been able to get into action because of a severe knee injury.
Boy, that must make him feel real good, huh? Joe Sensor back in action. He's had a long, long wait. Now he's going out of the game, but he caught a pass.
Todd Bell made the tackle on him. And Sensor, at the age of 28, trying desperately to get back into the lineup off what we indicated was a severe knee injury. The Vikings have Jordan, Malarkey, and Hasselbeck also at tight end. That is Darren Nelson, and he has the first down and then some, as Sensor had a 9-yard pickup on his pass play, leaving a 2nd and 1, but the Vikings are now in Bears territory with a first down. Todd Bell tripping him up. They'll spot it at the 49 of the Bears. And there's Les Steckel on the left and quarterback Wade Wilson on the right, who signals in the plays to Archie Manning. Wade Wilson, the backup quarterback, now with Kramer on the sideline with an injury. 4-year man out of East Texas State, and they think he's got a future. Jones in motion back to the ball. Play action for Manning, is sacked again. A fearsome rush. Led again by Richard Dent and the safety Todd Bell on the blitz.
Their percentage of blitzes is starting to pick up in this football game as they come out of that 46 defense that they have, and they bring everything but the kitchen sink. Wilson was coming from the outside. You see Todd Bell, 25, who's the first one that got there, who forced Manning to turn to try and get away, and Dent was there for the cleanup as the Bears record another sack. So it looks like they're going to start trying to put pressure on Manning, even on first down.
Loss of 8 on that play. Manning is 5 of 8 and 45 yards. Not getting a lot of time to throw. Again pressure, he ran by Hampton, gets it off, in and out of the hands of Darren Nelson. And on the coverage, Otis Wilson, number 55, did not give Nelson a second chance to grab that ball. It popped in and out of his fingers. Manning did a fine job to get it to him under all that pressure.
So now the Vikings are into a third down situation, 3rd and about 17. And that has been the Bears' strong point over the years. This year they allow only 30% conversion on 3rd down. And when you got 3rd and 17, it's tough. So let's see what the Vikings come up with.
We're down to 2:41 remaining first half. Big 3rd down situation here. 3 wide receivers for the Vikings. The pass for Sammy White complete. And another first down for the Vikings. So again, Archie Manning and Sammy White hook up on a 3rd and long situation to get the yardage back from the sack loss. And a Viking first down inside the 35 of Chicago.
A good play, no blitz, but pressure on Manning. He could feel it coming. And then he throws, and it's right on the dime. There's a couple of passes that he has thrown that have just been excellent. Notice all the dark jerseys around there. In that kind of a situation, you know, there's a lot more people downfield. They only rushed 4, and they got 7 people downfield. And it's not easy to complete passes.
Fensick and Frazier were there to make the tackle on White. Big play for the Vikings. Manning complete to Sensor again. And another Viking first down as he picked up 11 yards to the 24-yard line. Richardson forced him out. And a 2-minute warning has sounded here at Soldier Field. We'll be back with the Bears in front, 13-0. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris, 1:56 on the clock at Soldier Field. It's clouded over a little bit more, but it's been a perfect fall afternoon for football. And the Minnesota Vikings trying to get on the scoreboard before halftime here. They trailed 13-0, and that missed point after by Bob Thomas could loom large, especially if the Vikings can get it into the end zone and convert there.
Blitz.
Manning throws it up for White, incomplete. The blitz was on, as Johnny indicated, and Manning popped it up there. The Bears still, however, had 2 defenders back on White, and White is limping back out of the end zone and may have had a little muscle pull or something.
Here's the ISO. As you can see, this is Leslie Frazier, 21. Manning spotted the blitz, so he just put it up and figured he's got a one-on-one situation. And I can't tell right there, maybe it looked like he might have got his leg caught.
2nd and 10 Manning complete to Darren Nelson. Nelson picks up about 8 yards, close to the 15-yard line. Pulled down by Al Harris and Mike Richardson.
Pretty good blocking by the offensive line of the Vikings on that one to give Manning time to spot his secondary receiver. You know, the Minnesota offensive line's been moved around. The guards have switched sides, Rouse and Tausch, and they moved Irwin from right to left and back and forth, and Sams is having to play. That's almost like reconstructing your offensive line in midseason. That's not easy. Score, 13-0 still Chicago.
An optimistic young head coach, Les Steckel, hoping that his Vikings could get into the end zone here. They made a last-second shift. Manning's pass is intercepted by Singletary. Whistles and flags everywhere, however, and it looks like they're going to call that Manning was in the grasp of a tackler back at the 30-yard line. And it would be Steve McMichael who had him wrapped up there. We'll wait and see if that's the call, but they are wiping out the interception downfield.
And that is a break for the Vikings because they will still have the ball. It was an ill-advised throw by Manning because he had no chance to get it down the field to get any zip on it. And the ruling was that he was in the grass, so the pass does not count as Manning is forced out of the pocket, and they rule that he was in the grass. That's a judgment call by the official, but it gives the Vikings a chance for a field goal rather than the interception, so that's a key call.
Jan Stenerud will come out to try it from the 37-yard line. And he misses it wide left. Stenerud, who was 15 of 16 in the field goal department, misses wide left. And so with 55 seconds remaining in the first half, the Bears have the lead and the football at their own 29. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris, where the Bears have taken over at their own 29-yard line here at Soldier Field in Chicago. They lead 13-0, 55 seconds to play in the first half. Stenerud missing a 46-yard field goal attempt. McMahon on first down to Moorhead. Moorhead has a first down to the 40-yard line. And in the hurry-up offense, time ticking down past the 40-second mark. Studwell and Ashley made the tackle. McMahon sets up the screen to Suey. Suey is dropped on a nice ankle tackle by Tommy Hennon. A gain of only 4 yards on the play. And a timeout on the field, 28 seconds left. And we'll be back at Soldier Field after this. Bears have a 2nd and 7 at their own 43-yard line. 28 seconds left in the half. An extra defensive back in Jeff Coulter, number 43. Ashley and Sinline have been playing most of the second quarter at linebacker instead of Johnson and Blair. Out of the shotgun. Pressure on McMahon. He gets away from that. Fires it off to Suey. Suey away from McNeil. Takes a hard hit out of bounds from Studwell. But he has a first down and stops the clock with 18 seconds remaining. And the Bears are now in Viking territory at the 47.
Did you see that quick move to get away from Doug Martin that McMahon made? He just has a certain quickness as we look what's coming up at halftime. How about that?
Brandon Irv will have you scores and highlights from around the NFL. Remember Larry Brown, the great Washington Redskins running back, one of the legends of the game. You'll find out about Larry, what he's up to now, and look back at his fine career with the Redskins. Tough yardage back, Larry Brown was. First down, Chicago in Minnesota territory. Time winding down, trying to get more points on the board. The pass to Payton. He slipped on one of the wet patches on the turf. There was rain last evening in Chicago, and there are a few slick patches out there. And another timeout with 11 seconds remaining. Bears lead 13-0. There is Joe Sensor, who was a high school hockey player in that area in Westchester, Pennsylvania, where he's from. He went to school at Westchester State. The big Bobby Clark fan, Philadelphia Flyers star in his youth. 2nd and 5 for the Bears at the 42-yard line. McMahon going deep for Moorhead, and it is complete. Moorhead stole the ball from Carl Lee at the 2-yard line. Johnny Morris, I thought Lee had the football.
It looked like he was waiting on the ball to come to him, and Moorhead just aggressively, like a defensive back, went for the ball, made the interception, and then alertly called a timeout, because any player on the field now can call a timeout. Now the Bears have a big decision. Are they going to go for the touchdown or take the field goal? There's only time for one play here as McMahon puts it up. Carl Lee thought he had an interception there, and Moorhead just takes it away from him, jumps up, calls timeout, and very alert play by Emory Moorhead, as it looked like a sure interception. 87 man from the local Chicago area, went to Evanston High School, as they're going to take the field goal. Bob Thomas is out on the field. So Mike Ditka has opted not to take a chance and go for the 7 points and maybe not get it, because he'd only have time for one play. He'll take the sure 3, because the Bears probably didn't figure they were going to, you know, maybe it would have a shot at 3 at best.
Well, they would have that point after to make up for 2, so they'll gain that back +2, unless they try a fake or something fun like that, which they're not going to do. Bob Thomas nails it through. And so a big play by Emory Moorhead and Jim McMahon, who got him the football. McMahon, 10 of 11 in the first half, as the Bears take the lead, 16-0.
The NFC Central when the sun sets tonight. Let's get you to the scoreboard and up to date on all the action around the league. This has been a game of missed opportunities for the Atlanta Falcons. They have been their own worst enemy against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Dan Henning's job will be in jeopardy down in Atlanta at the conclusion of this season if they continue playing this poorly. Gerald Riggs will take a handoff, and the ball is going to be coughed up here. And watch Dwayne Woodruff scoops it up, busts the tackle, gets in 65 yards, and the Steelers took a quick lead. Now Henning's Falcons might have come back on this play, and watch this. Stacey Bailey is all alone. It's got touchdown written on it, and he boots it, and it's still 7-0. Then it was Malone who has replaced the injured Woodley, drops back in the pocket, and he's got the veteran Stallworth for the touchdown. And right now the Steelers have got a 2-touchdown lead on the Falcons. New Orleans and Cleveland, they complained about Sam Ratigliano's offense. Well, the Browns aren't doing a whole lot better without him as head coach today. Cincinnati has now added a breach field goal. It is 17-7 over winless Houston. They are at the half. Tampa Bay and Kansas City. This one important for Bear fans, obviously. The Bucks have come back to who is that fella parachuting in there? Irv, take a look at this game.
Well, anyway, here's another player parachuting over the left tackle. Ken Lacey goes over for a 2-yard touchdown for Kansas City. And then DeBerg gets his offense going when he goes to your guy, number 89, Kevin House, for a 7-yard touchdown.
My guy.
Yeah,
I traded him for my fantasy team. My guy. 7-7, they're tied in the second quarter. The Jets and the Patriots. Well, Ron Meyer, no longer the coach, and the Patriots aren't stopping the Jets. Maybe they're doing a little bit better than they did against Don Shula and the Dolphins last week. It's never as easy as firing a head coach. 13-3, Jets with a lead there in the second quarter. The Detroit Lions have just kicked a field goal. It is 21-9. The Packers, of course, by winning over the Lions, would knock Detroit 3 games behind Chicago if the Bears hold on. Now, here is Dickey, who has been perfect in the first half. 9 of 9 for 142 yards and 2 touchdowns. That one to Kaufman. And Monty Clark now with his hands full in Detroit. Dickey again looking for his tight end Kaufman. He's got it at the 5, and he'll go in for the 20-yard touchdown. And again, Detroit has just come back to kick a field goal by Murray. It is now 21-9. Minnesota and Chicago, of course, the game you're watching. The Bears are shutting them out at the half. Bud Grant used to do a lot better in Chicago, didn't he? And the Colts and the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys have gone ahead, and Danny White has thrown to Tony Hill 38 yards for the score in that game. And St. Louis and Philadelphia, 17-14. Irv, tell us what's happened there.
Looked as though the Goblins were going to get the Cardinals when they came into Veterans Stadium today, Brent. But Ron Jaworski gets the offense started in a hurry when he goes to Mike Quick. Great reception. That was a 90-yard touchdown catch for Quick. Prior to this game, the longest pass he'd caught for a score was 39 yards. But Neil Lomax had all day to throw. The Cardinals' offensive line does a good job of punching out, giving him time to throw. He sees Pat Tilley in the shadow of the end zone, and Tilley makes an 8-yard reception, and the Cardinals have the lead.
All right, Irv, when we come back, you're going to be taking a look at a former star, Larry Brown of the Washington Redskins, where we continue after these messages from your local stations. We think we have an excellent doubleheader coming your way this afternoon on CBS. Most of you will see the San Francisco 49ers against the Los Angeles Rams. The 49ers with a 2-game lead on the Rams in the NFC West, but behind Jeff Kemp, the Rams have been on a roll the last few weeks. Now, the rest of you will see the Washington Redskins against the New York Giants. The Skins are trying to get back to a Super Bowl for the 3rd consecutive year. And you know, back in 1972, when the Skins first went to the Super Bowl under George Allen, they were led by a running back who learned his moves growing up in the mean ghetto streets of Pittsburgh. But as Irv Cross discovered in this legend of the game profile, Larry Brown has gone on from the high-pressure challenge of pro football to success in the high-tech world of the modern business executive.
Good morning.
That man's business card reads, Business and Community Relations Manager, Mid-Atlantic Region, Xerox Corporation. And everything from his leather shoes to his custom case to his tailored suit spells success. But it wasn't that long ago that Larry Brown wore a different kind of uniform, that of the Washington Redskins, where his business was carrying a football. He was a born fighter who didn't appreciate having beer poured on him in the end zone at Yankee Stadium. Where Larry Brown grew up in a tough section of Pittsburgh known as the Hill District, where each day brought new hardships and challenges and a never-ending fight for survival.
It was a gang-like type of environment, and you had to protect your turf, and we'd go out and pick up a baseball game, and if we lost the game, we would win the fight, so to speak.
In a sense, Larry Brown never stopped fighting. But not only did he have to overcome tacklers much larger than himself, but he also had to deal with total deafness in his right ear, which forced him to wear a hearing aid inside his helmet.
The hearing aid worked for approximately 2 weeks, and thereafter it never worked again. But I never brought it up, and I never told anybody, and I just went on a regular basis. I would go ask the equipment manager for a new hearing aid.
He ran like a man who could neither hear nor see the dangers around him. A gridiron ghetto blaster.
I've never felt that I've really had talent as a running back. There wasn't anything that would stand out like a Gale Sayers or Jim Brown. And I thought that the way I ran was the way I had to run to get home every day.
He developed his moves running through the Hill District, but he earned his living running through defenses. In 1972, he led the Redskins to a Super Bowl and was named NFL Player of the Year.
I made a major contribution to a team effort. I gave 100% or more on every play. There was no malingering. There was no holding back, no fear of any obstacles, mission-oriented, you know, professional street football player.
Outside of Jim Taylor, he was about as tough head-on runner as I've ever seen in the league. Listen, what about his hearing today? It was so bad as a player.
Well, he's had a hearing problem all his life. He still wears a hearing aid, but he hasn't let that handicap bother him at all. He's been a great inspiration for the young people in the Washington area.
He sure has. All right, let's send you back to the stadium now in the game you're enjoying on CBS.
We're live from Soldier Field in Chicago at halftime. The Bears leading Minnesota 16-0. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris on hand, and certainly the #1 defense in the NFL doing its thing again, Johnny. They've shut out the Vikings so far. They have touchdowns from Matt Suhey and a touchdown pass from McMahon to Dennis McKinnon, and then they got a little bonus three-pointer there at the end in that final 2-minute drill.
They certainly did. Emory Moorhead came up with a good play as far as the Bears are concerned because they were ahead 13-0. This set up a field goal, which gave them a 16-0 lead, and Moorhead just with great individual effort as he went straight down the field. Carl Lee had the play well covered. In fact, he was waiting for the ball, but got out and muscled for it as Emory Moorhead made the reception and then alertly got up and called a timeout. That's a new rule a couple of years ago that was put in, that any player on the field can call a timeout. There were 3 seconds left on the clock, and of course Bob Thomas kicked the field goal. And you have to give Emory Moorhead, I think, an A on that play, wouldn't you? Maybe an A+.
Absolutely, and he finally got to start again. Mike Ditka's been running through those tight ends in that department, so he's got to feel pretty good about that. We'll be back at Soldier Field in a moment. It's taken by Jack Cameron at the 3-yard line for the Bears. Cameron, number 30, takes a vicious hit at the 23-yard line, a real head-on collision, and it looked like it was number 50, Dennis Folks, who made the stop on him. A second-year man from West Virginia with a solid shot at the 23 of Chicago. And you can see here that the Bears defensively in that first half certainly did the job.
They held the Vikings to total yards of 117. The Bears amassed 213, 4 sacks to no sacks, and the Bears once again controlled the clock. 17 minutes and 45 seconds they had the ball.
So Chicago, with the lead, has the football to start the second half. Things have kind of darkened up a bit again here at Soldier Field, and they have the lights on. Payton trying the short side. A nice tackle in the open field by Walker Lee Ashley, number 58, getting an arm on Payton and tripping him up. It'll be a gain of a yard. Make it 2.
Walker Lee Ashley is going to have to play more and more for the Vikings. He's number 58, and he goes down the line, then comes through right there through the block, beats the block by Rob Feta, and then makes the tackle on Payton. Walker Lee playing some pretty good football.
2-yard pickup means Payton needs 20 to reach the 1,000-yard mark for the season. Matt Blair is back in at the left outside linebacker. Ashley, Studwell, and McNeil are the other 3 linebackers, and the Vikings 3-4. And they give it to Suey on a reverse misdirection play, but the Vikings smelled that out, and McNeil tracked him from behind, number 54.
They obviously have monitored that play. They have the Bears have run that play a lot with the action of Payton one way and Suey coming from the wing back the other way. And Fred McNeil, 54, said, I'm going to go with Matt Suey, and he just ran him down from behind. Fred
Loss
McNeil.
of 5 yards on the play will bring up 3rd and close to 13 yards. You can see the Bears have been a pretty good second half team, at least in terms of not surrendering their leads.
McMahon was 10 of 11 in the first half.
10 of 11, 140 yards and a touchdown to McKinnon. Out of the shotgun. Steps up away from the pressure, and he'll run it. First down for McMahon at the 38-yard line. A swarm of Vikings collected him there. Ranging back was number 90, John Haynes, the rookie defensive end. And coming up from the secondary, Joey Browner, 47, and Jeff Coulter, 43.
And this is an example of the
defensive end. And coming up from the secondary, Joey Browner, 47, and Jeff Coulter, 43.
And this is an example of the great peripheral vision that he has as the Vikings came on the rush. And you can see the lanes there. And when he spots the lane, can't find anybody open. And watch number 90, Haynes. He comes from behind when McMahon is tackled and really gets a shot on Jim McMahon right there.
It was another Covey in on the tackle.
Yes, you got it right, Covey.
Quails come in Coveys, and Witches come in Covens. I know all you folks out there have been waiting to get that squared away. First down, Chicago. And it swung out to Payton and went right through his hands. Walter is not perfect. He was looking upfield, I think, Johnny, for some real estate to work with there, and he dropped the ball.
He was ready to make his move because he felt a defender there and put his hands up. That's the second pass he's dropped in 2 games, and I don't think he's dropped 2 over the last 3 or 4 years. It just went through his hands. But I'm sure that Mike Ditka will forgive Walter Payton, aren't you?
I would think so. The skins are on the wall, as former general manager Jim Finks of the Bears used to say about Walter Payton. Got the skins on the wall. 2nd and 10. Payton could make the 1,000-yard mark in this game. Rushing, that is. This pass complete to Galt, and a first down in Viking territory. Willie Galt. Tackled by Carl Lee, number 39, and then Ashley, the linebacker, 58, getting in on it.
Rufus Best, 21, you're going to see him slip down as he backpedaled, and Galt just turned in as McKinnon turned out, and you'll see Best just getting up after slipping down, number 21, and gets in on the tackle, or actually he doesn't. It's Carl Lee who makes the tackle. Willie Galt, you got to play him off because he doesn't catch a lot of passes, but he catches some bombers. He has 4 touchdown passes so far this season.
in Viking territory at the 48-yard line.
Blitz.
Walter Payton. Good hole behind Hilgenberg and Becker, and he found it and picks up about 6. Rufus Bess and Hennon with Matt Blair all combining on the tackle. It'll be second and a long 4 for the Bears, and look what Green Bay is doing to Detroit at halftime.
And the Bears could possibly take a 3-game lead in the division depending on what Tampa Bay does. But look at this, 28-9. The Packers had only won 1 game going into today's action.
Walter Payton's 5-yard pickup leaves him 15 to go to the 1,000-yard mark, and he's got another 5 close to the first down yardage. And a bunch of Vikings combine, and now a little bit of rough play. Van Horn and Hennon getting at each other, and Hennon just coming up to get in on the action. Apparently had a little brief tussle with Big Van Horn, the offensive right tackle. Timeout on the field as they will bring in the flags to measure this one.
The Chicago Bear fans have just reacted to the news about the Green Bay-Detroit game.
The Vikings, as we get this measurement, have lost 3 games of their 6 defeats in the final minute of play. Indeed, a couple of them on the final play of the game. So they have been somewhat of a hard luck team in this transition year from Bud Grant to Les Steckel. And it is a first down for the Chicago Bears, who with a victory here today, should they hang on to win, would move to 6-3. And as Johnny pointed out, Green Bay doing it to Detroit at halftime could affect the Lions' chances of catching up with the Bears.
Plus the fact that Tampa Bay has lost twice to the Bears, so in effect they are 3 games behind.
First down, Chicago from the 38-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings. McKinnon in motion. They go to Payton wide right. And Payton slides out of bounds on his belly after a gain of about 4. Scott Studwell forcing him out. So Payton closing in on that 1,000-yard mark as we grind it down here.
And he says he's going to go to 15,000 yards and then have a 15,000-mile checkup.
Only 6 more yards needed to reach 1,000, which would tie him with Franco Harris for 8,000-yard seasons in his career.
He's had some great years. This is actually his best year so far as yards at this point of the season.
Start, yeah.
And he's averaging 5.1 per carry going in, which is higher than his career average.
Well, Jim McMahon needs a timeout here to consult with Mike Ditka, either the Vikings look or some miscue on the play call. And we'll be back at Soldier Field, 10:08 remaining third quarter. I saw the Great Pumpkin earlier here at Soldier Field, as apparently Bears fans are getting ready for Halloween upcoming this week. And right now enjoying their team being in front of the Vikings. Having a second and a long 5. Intended for Goff, incomplete. Pass a little behind him. He could not bring it back in near the 20-yard line. It'll be third down. Jim McMahon not pleased with that one. And remember, stay tuned with us. We've got more football action coming along today on CBS Sports. The 49ers and the Rams. And this is a key battle in the NFC West. You can see the 49ers on top, the Rams at 5-3. They have yet to play each other this season, so it's the first of 2. And it'll be Kemp against Montana, as the Rams really need a win if they've got a shot at the Western Division title. And most of you will be seeing that, except for those in the Chicago area. The game will not be viewed in Chicago. Blitz. Third down. McMahon under pressure, and it is incomplete. Double coverage on Walter Payton, who got jostled around and is looking for a flag, but none forthcoming. And the crowd supporting Walter's viewpoint. It doesn't count for much.
He was claiming that Carl Lee, 39, hit him before the pass got there. There is McMahon's pass. You see Payton right in the middle of your screen downfield. There was some collision, some contact actually before the ball arrived there, but no call. So the Bears will be forced to punt.
Dave Finzer stands right at midfield.
They're punting from the 34-yard line.
He's punted only once for 39 yards. Nelson is well up at the 12-yard line, just protecting.
There he goes.
Fincher's going to run it. And he's tripped up on an outstanding tackle. Reaction. Did he get the first down?
No.
I don't know. Doesn't appear like he did. And I'm not sure who made the tackle, but that was a heads-up defensive play, picking up the fake punt. Finn's a pretty good athlete. And it was either Chris Martin or Robin Senline, backup linebackers, who made the tackle on him.
Well, you had to figure that the Bears might be up to something on the 34-yard line, punting from that position, and they were up to something. And as you said, it was a saving tackle for the Vikings because the Bears were definitely short.
Here it is. Let's see if we can pick up the tackler on the replay.
Okay, he went inside, takes off down the field, and who gets that hand on him? Couldn't quite tell who it was.
But it was not 57, so the odds are that it was Chris Martin, but we are unable to confirm that. Fine play for the Vikings. We'll be right back. Terry Kane had the right man here, and it's second-year man from Auburn, Chris Martin. Johnny, this was a really good play.
It certainly was. It was basically an arm tackle, as Fincher would have gone for a long ways. He hasn't run the ball much since his old high school days at Loyola here in the Chicago area. Minnesota's ball.
So the Vikings have it. Manning continues at quarterback. It's dropped by Nelson, and I believe recovered by the Vikings. Mike Jones with an alert recovery. Not a great exchange between Manning and Nelson. And the ball popped loose. There were Bears there, but it's Mike Jones coming up with the ball for the Minnesota Vikings and preventing a near disaster there. They would have given the ball right back to the Bears at their own 22. There's a loss on the play back to the 22 of about 8 yards.
A loss of 7.
Well, Pittsburgh clinging to a lead over Atlanta 14-3 at halftime. New Orleans in front of Cleveland 10-7. New coach for the Browns, Marty Schottenheimer, getting his first action today. Blitz. Coach Manning sails it up for Jones. It's incomplete, and Jones complaining that Richardson interfered with him, but that was one of those cases where Jones just didn't get to run the route that he wanted to, as Richardson had him well covered.
Archie Manning called the right audible. That was the Bear 46 defense with the blitz, and you know you're going to get one-on-one situation as you look at Cincinnati has come back on Houston. It is now the Bengals 17-7 in the third quarter. Tampa Bay, Kansas City 7-all at halftime. And the Jets in New England, the Jets on top 20-6.
Boy, the surprising New York Jets. They are really playing well. Dewerson and Schmidt are in defensively for the Bears on the passing down. 3rd and long for Manning. Forced out of the pocket again. He'll run. Sliding in, and he stopped short of the first down. Manning, had he gone another yard, would have, well, they're going to spot it. Let's see where they spot it. This will be an important spot. And they spot it back at the 37-yard line. Short of the first down.
He's going to be short as the Bears put the pressure on, and Manning takes off. Used to be a great runner as a quarterback when he was younger. He's not so young anymore, but this is a case where I think he had to be thinking, and maybe, hey, I'm going to go for it and take your chances you don't get hurt. But he had no chance that time. You got to be aware where that first down is, and usually it's a quarterback is.
Came up short by a yard after a 16-yard run. It'll be Greg Coleman standing at his 23-yard line. Pardon me, was punted. Gets a good snap. And it is Fisher at the 25 on the run, is out of bounds, forced out by Browner. And so the Bears will start from their 31-yard line when we return to Soldier Field under gray skies and a 16-0 Chicago lead. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris, sold out Soldier Field in Chicago. 8 minutes to play, third period. Chicago with a 16-0 lead in the football. First down at their 31. McKinnon in motion. Flare out to Galt for a flanker screen, and Covert blocked from behind. Knocked down from behind, gets up a little bit slowly, but he's all right, and a gain of about 6 yards on the play. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of the telecast without the express written consent of the Chicago Bears and the NFL is prohibited.
Pat Dunsmore just brought in the play for Jim McMahon. Calvin Thomas is in there now.
Fred McNeil made that last tackle for the Vikings. Veteran linebacker on the right side. That's Thomas, 33, in motion. They fake it to Payton, and McMahon now fires it up to Thomas, and he is stopped short of the first down by about a yard. Hannon and Ashley and Studwell all there. Matt Blair, the one to actually force him out. Charlie Johnson had the pressure on McMahon on the play. So it'll leave a 3rd and 2 for Chicago. The ball at their own 39-yard line. McMahon is 13 of 17 in the passing department for the Chicago Bears.
If he had a few more completions on the year, he didn't throw some in a couple of games that he missed, and where he was injured with his hand, he would be the #1 rated quarterback in the league. But right now, he's a few attempts short.
Bears are 7 of 10 today on 3rd down, and they've got a 3rd and 2 here. Blitz, Walter Payton, and he is wrapped up by McNeil. Fred McNeil was waiting right there at the corner. Matt Blair came over to help him, and they stopped the Bears. Walter Payton cold.
Good defensive play by the entire Viking defensive line and the backers. They blitzed right through the holes there on a running play, and who knows, maybe that's something that can give the Vikings some spark.
Dave Finzer at the 25. Darren Nelson waiting for it at the Viking 29. Vikings showing a rush on. Now send only one man, and Finzer gets it away. They hit Dave Dewerson back up at the 25, which Nelson points out to the officials, so they'll get a spot at the 26-yard line, and we'll start from there when we return. An unhappy Dave Finzer didn't like his punt. And Johnny Morris back here at Soldier Field, and this is crunch time for the Vikings. They've got to get something going here. They're at their own 26. They haven't got a point. They have a missed field goal try by Stenerud, the closest they came. Alfred Anderson. They string it out, and he gets very little of anything. Richard Dent stayed right on him and rode herd on him out of bounds, with Al Harris making sure he did not get the corner turned, and it'll be maybe a loss of a yard on the play.
There was Wade Wilson signaling in the play to Archie Manning, as Les Steckel is to his left, and Tommy Kramer on the extreme right. Some frustrated quarterbacks right now.
Turns out to be no gain on the play. Kramer out with a shoulder injury. Steckel said he would stick with Manning as long as possible to give him a chance. And he completes that one for about 5 to Mike Jones, number 89, the second-year man from Tennessee State. So he's still stuck with an important play here. 3rd and about 6, actually, it'll be. A reminder, next Saturday, Sports Saturday, will have doubleheader championship action for you. Exciting Billy Costello in front of his hometown fans in Kingston, New York, against former champion Leroy Haley, and World Super Bantamweight champion WBC version Jaime Garza, one of the knockout artists in boxing. Also, 1984 World Figure Skating champions, you'll see Torval and Dean and Tiffany Chin next Saturday afternoon on CBS Sports. 3rd down and 6. Manning complete to Jordan. Jordan has a first down to the 41-yard line. So Manning comes through on 3rd down and keeps the Vikings moving upfield. Manning now 10 of 16.
Steve Jordan has done very well this year for the Vikings. He won that Superman contest they had at their exhibition at their training camp. And here he jams off the jam by Todd Bell, heads for the outside. There was a lane for Manning to throw the ball, and Jordan makes the grab. Bell on the tackle. The Vikings get what I think is a crucial first down. They've got to get on the board. You got to get first downs before you get those touchdowns.
3:35 to go, 3rd period, out of the pro set now. Jones and Leo Lewis, the wide receivers flank left. Little play action. They come out to Nelson, incomplete. Even on the play action, the Bears had pressure down the middle from Dent and Hampton, and Manning, again, had no chance to even set despite making the run fake. So that Bear pressure has been a huge factor against this offensive line. Johnny, we talked about how they're really playing out of position. Riley's got a bad left hand, and so he's been moved over to right tackle, exchanging with Tim Irwin. Tausch and Rouse changed positions from left to right. Rouse moving to the right side this week because his left-handed stance makes it easier for him to work from the right side, but it's a recent switch, and it may be affecting their pass blocking. And plus, Ron Sam's in for the injured Jim Huff at center. That's knocked down at the line of scrimmage, and it was Dent getting a big paw, a bear paw, up to knock that pass of Manning's down.
He did that same thing last week, knocked down a pass or deflected one that was intercepted, as Richard Dent has really come on. And all linemen are taught when you see the quarterback take 1-2 to throw, you forget your pass rush and just jump up in the air, and that is what Richard Dent did, as the Vikings now have a key third down situation, 3rd and 10. 2 or 3 times Sammy White has come through for them, but we'll see what happens now. White is up at the top of your screen, limping slightly.
They are 3 of 8 turning it over on 3rd down, and he's got 2 of them. A low snap, and Manning, all he can do is cover the football. Out of the shotgun, Ron Sam's with another difficult low snap, playing for the injured Jim Huff. And so and Manning does not even get a chance on 3rd down.
Okay, you get to take a look at it. Actually, it was catchable. It was low, but Manning should have had it. And all he could do then was just sit on the ball as Greg Coleman is on the punt, and Les Steckel's wondering what's going wrong.
So it'll be Coleman to punt. I agree, that was a catchable snap. Ron Sam's really don't want to give him too much of the blame there. Coleman gets a Viking bounce. Fisher fields at the 19. And Jeff Fisher, number 24, brings it out to the 31-yard line, where he is met by Robin Sendline, number 57 of the Vikings. So Chicago will have the football in pretty good field position, and more importantly, a 16-0 lead. Well, there are some real Vikings on hand here to cheer on the Minnesota team. They're doing better in the stands, and their club is on the field at the moment. Chicago has the football. 1st down. Walter Payton to the near side behind Suey, cuts it up, and a flag down as Payton forced out of bounds at the 39-yard line after a pickup of about 8 on the play, but flags are down on the play. We'll have to see whether or not Waller has reached the 1,000-yard mark on that play, but it is against the Bears, so he'll have to wait. 2:21 to play in the 3rd period.
I would imagine that the Vikings have got to do something. They have to create something defensively. They have been basically a 3-man rush with not too much blitzing, and they're not getting to the quarterback. And when they have gotten in, McMahon is sidestepping. But they can't sit back in a 3-4 or just a 4 without a blitz.
Offense number 83, 1st down.
And let McMahon keep popping. I think they got to take some chances, don't you, Tim? And the call was on Willie Gault.
Yes, it was.
There's 83 right there. Looks like he pulled a few people down.
Yeah, nice tackle, but he was playing offense at the time.
So I think the Viking defense is there. When you're down 16-0, you got to do some things to maybe take a chance. You might get down further, but what the heck?
Mullaney has not returned, of course, so they're going without one of their better pass rushers. McMahon just got it off. Incomplete, intended for Walter Payton. They had a rush that time from Elshire, number 73, who had a hand on McMahon. Let's get a handle from Brent Musburger.
Tim, more and more the St. Louis Cardinals are looking like a playoff team. They've opened up some daylight now on the Philadelphia Eagles. This is Lomax, who has thrown at least 1 touchdown pass for 17 straight games. That one, of course, to his tight end Marsh. 10-point lead. Back to Tim and Johnny.
Lomax's 2nd touchdown pass of the game, hitting Tilley earlier, and 24-14 lead for the Cards.
Where's Roy Green? They must be triple covering him.
Probably. 2nd and 20. The loss back to the 20-yard line. Suey breaks a tackle, and Suey crashes up over the 35-yard line. Some hard running for Matt Suey. About a 14-yard pickup. Rufus Bess and Tommy Hannon, the corner and the safety, 21 and 45, make the tackle for the Vikings.
We have some more scores from around the league coming up. Here you have Kansas City leading Tampa Bay 14-7. That's more good news for the Chicago Bears. Cleveland has a 14-10 lead over New Orleans.
Oh, those Saints have been sagging. Cleveland with their new coach today. Third down and 6. Vikings really have to stop them here. And they do. A diving block on the pass intended for McKinnon by Jeff Coulter, the rookie from Kansas, a free agent, making the defensive play on a little rollout pass play by McMahon. And that was a key defensive stop for Minnesota. If they have a chance to get back into this ball game, they've got to get the football back with 1:20 remaining, third period. And they should wind up with fairly good field position. Finzer will stand at his 20-yard line to punt it for the Bears. Darren Nelson at the 32 of Minnesota.
Now notice that Darren Nelson is on the left hash mark.
Vikings with a rush. Finzer gets it off. Not a bad punt into the wind. Fair catch, Nelson at the 31-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings. And this would appear to be the series for Minnesota right here. And coming next, most of you are going to see a key battle in the NFC West. The leading San Francisco 49ers at 7-1. The Rams at 5-3 in second place. And it looks like they will be the two teams scrapping it out because they have still 2 games to play, counting today. In other words, this is the first meeting between the Rams and the Niners.
That game will not be seen in the Chicago area.
On first down, Manning. Manning for Nelson, overthrew him. Now Manning did have some time that time, just did not get the ball to Darren Nelson. Al Harris had the coverage on him. So it is 2nd and 10. Out goes Alfred Anderson. Ted Brown bringing the play into Archie Manning this time from the sideline. Leo Lewis out to the left, Mike Jones out to the right. Brown and Nelson, the running backs, in a wide set. Straight drop for Manning, and Al Harris blitzing. Had nobody touch him. And another Chicago sack. So that #1 defense in the NFL shows another reason why. So many looks, so many moves.
Now, notice number 90, Harris, is to the left of your screen. He's on the other side in front of the tight end, but he doesn't cover. He comes in on the blitz, and Manning had no chance as the Bears fool him with their defensive strategy once again, because when somebody gets in there slick and clean like that, there has been a mistake. 5 sacks for Chicago, none for Minnesota.
47 yards lost via the sack route by Minnesota. Third down, 18 to go. So again, big pressure on Manning here. Another low snap. Manning has a man open. That is Sammy White, but well short of the first down. He's dropped at the 32. So the Bears defense consistent today. Todd Bell made the tackle, and Minnesota will have to punt again.
I think
Steckel on the sideline gets the headset off.
He told us last night that the Chicago Bears were the best team that the Vikings have faced this year. And now I believe him.
That includes the Los Angeles Raiders in his estimation. Jeff Fisher catching Greg Coleman's fine punt, got it back to the 29-yard line. And was dropped there by Joey Browner. And the gun sounds. That's the end of the third quarter with the score. The Chicago Bears 16, the Minnesota Vikings nothing.